This is The Big Story presented by herbchambers.com.
I'm Jen Peter, Metro Editor for the Boston Globe, and today's the 25th anniversary of the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Krista McAuliffe, who grew up in Framingham and was a teacher in Concord, New Hampshire, was a member of the crew on the Space Shuttle and perished that day when it exploded. I was a senior in high school. Everyone was watching. Most children in high school, elementary school, middle school that day were watching because Krista McAuliffe was on the Space Shuttle. I happened to be in Concord, New Hampshire at the time too, so there was a heightened interest there. And I remember watching with a friend of mine and not knowing, at first what happened or that something was wrong. And then of course it turned into, at that time, the biggest news story that anyone my age had seen or could remember. For people who were too young to remember when JFK was shot, the explosion of the Space Shuttle became that moment that everyone could remember where they were when it happened. I know from talking to people just this week about where they were when it happened, this awful moment when everyone was watching and so excited because a teacher was on the Space Shuttle and people were inspired by her and were interested in the scientific experiments that she was going to do. And it turned from a moment of sort of wonder and excitement and this real connection to the space program and the possibilities into this moment of horror where teachers, broke down in classes and were crying themselves and having to explain to young children something really unfathomable. I think for a lot of kids or even teenagers, this idea that someone, could be smiling and embarking on something so exciting, and we saw them, on TV, and then within moments they were gone. I'm sure it's a moment that introduced a lot of kids to the concept of death, for the first time or in a very visceral way. Obviously, for a new generation, 9/11 became the day that many teachers in classrooms had to explain something horrible happening. Back in 1986, this was the moment that everyone remembered.